Welcome to Freaked Out with your psychic medium host, Liz. That is me. You'll notice all of my dolls, except my Labubu, is not here on the shelf. That is because we are moving. I just got a couple more episodes to drop, and then all of this will be gone. Today, we're going to be going back to season 2 of our podcast where we covered Christina Whittaker. We are doing a lot of revamping, so you'll expect to see all of that over the next few months. Now, this particular case is something that is stuck with me. Even though I have covered so many cases, this is one of those cases that I think about at night. I think about Selena Mays. I even think about Angela Hammond, which I did not finish, part 2. But I do have something coming for her here very soon. So make sure to follow me here and on TikTok and also on Facebook. We got a Freaked Out page where you can get a little bit more personal with me over there because I be talking. All right, let's get into the Christina Whittaker episode now. Now, Christina vanished from her hometown, Hannibal, Missouri, in 2009. At the time, she was just 21 years old, a new mom, sensitive, loving, a little messy, and ultimately human. And 15 years later, this case is still unsolved. But in the last few years, a couple of things have shifted, and we're going to talk about that today too. I also want to talk about all of these truthful details that I have been getting. People may not necessarily want to say them out loud. And if you have not heard of this case, highly recommend watching the documentary Relentless, and that is also on Max HBO. The date that Christina went missing was actually November 13th, 2009. Now, Christina, like I said earlier, had a baby. She was only 6 months old, Alexandria. And she was going out for the first time, at least that's what people said, since giving birth. Her boyfriend, Travis, was babysitting while she went out. I mean, that's not really called babysitting, that's called parenting, but to each his own. Now, Travis was not very supportive of her friends because they were all addicts and they were always looking for the next high. So he would quite literally say, hey, I think you need to lay off of this lifestyle now that you're a mom specifically. But Christina did not like to have any sort of chains tying her down, even though she loved and cared about her daughter and still does. But she was not interested in a man telling her how to live her life because she had been doing it just fine for 21 years before he came along. Now, Travis actually was the one who dropped her off at the bar, Rookie's Sports Bar, and that was approximately 8:30 p.m. to about 8:45 p.m., where her friends were waiting for her inside. Now, at 10:30 p.m., she called Travis saying, hey, I'm going to bring some food home later, and I'll be home by midnight. And she also said that if she couldn't find a ride, she'd contact him for a ride. Now, at approximately 11:45 p.m., bar staff genuinely ejected her from Rookie's Bar for being belligerent. Now, some witnesses say that they saw her briefly come back. Others insisted that she left with men. Now, people at the River City Billiards and Sportsman Bar reported seeing her afterwards. A bartender friend said that she had seen her sobbing while on the phone and then ran to the back door. And that was the last confirmed sighting of her. She didn't come home. Travis was worried. Her parents were out of town. Her phone and keys were found very early the next day, which were found outside of an apartment complex near the Sportsman Bar. But unfortunately, they had been handled by civilians before law enforcement, not that they would have done anything in this case, saw them, potentially ruining any sort of clues that may have been on these items. Now, Christina was also not reported missing for 24 hours after this point, leaving the police no time to track immediate leads in relation to the phone. Now, some people, like I said earlier, had said they had seen her leaving the bar with 3 or 4 men. And like I said earlier, others claimed that a friend witnessed her crying and fleeing alone. Another said that she had been seen talking to two men near a dark car outside of Rookie's. I also want to point out that Christina had been drinking, which definitely led to her behavior, which wasn't uncommon for her. And she may have mixed her bipolar medication with alcohol. And I agree with that. And people said that she was in some sort of like altered state of confusion. Now, some rumors started suggesting Christina had actually been hit by a local pickup truck, specifically a hit and run, and was possibly loaded into the truck after the fact. Now, the vehicle reportedly had like red paint, fragments matching the car, and the suspect, by the name of Danny Baker, died in 2017, and that angle remains unsolved. Now, let's be honest here. The police really screwed this one up. There are many reasons why, though, and we'll get into that alongside of this episode because, wow. I also believe that the bar, Rookies specifically, was protecting itself. I believe that people are aware of who she was hanging out with. 3 or 4 men is not specific enough, in my opinion, and I believe that they knew details about who she was with. This bar, though, is trying to cover its own ass because they have many connections to the community and afraid that if they stick their neck out because they know a lot of the background, that something may immediately happen here as well. So they're kind of informed. I'm referencing the employees. You didn't see anything, you didn't hear anything. And also, we have to keep in consideration that this place, Hannibal, was a small community, and nobody wanted to stir the pot here. Nobody wants to be the one to cause problems. So they stay quiet to protect themselves, because if they start talking, who knows who's going to come after them? The people surrounded with the drugs, the family, the cops, maybe a pimp here or two. So they stay quiet and they blend like everybody else does. And unfortunately, the truth surrounding Christina walked right out the door. I don't necessarily feel like anyone has any sort of guilt about this either. Now, I do want to mention as well, watching the documentary, the people at the bar were suggesting that they were gentle and calm with her. I don't believe that, even for a moment. I believe that they were pretty annoyed with her because she has been in there before causing problems. I get why they were angry and upset with her, but don't need to lie about it. I believe that they were irritated and irritable. Like I said, irritation isn't a crime. It's human. Let's not rewrite events that didn't take place to protect your ass. I also don't believe that they told all the details. I also don't believe that, like I said earlier, this is the first time this happened, and I believe that quite a few patrons in there knew exactly who she was with and where she was going. It was also early enough in the night for that level of disorientation, if you ask me. I'd say that something else was going on as well, something that no one really wanted to admit to. And it's truly sad. I wonder if they would react if these were their children. I wonder how they would handle it. And maybe that's where the truth starts, not the last place that she was technically seen. This case reminds me a lot of Amy Bradley's case. And the reason I think that is because people are still under the impression that she's still alive and walking around, and people are seeing sightings of her all over the place. This has the same ring to it. Both Christina and Amy's family have that in common. And when you've been told over and over and over again that your daughter is still alive, you're going to believe it. That they just need to be held, that they just need to be taken care of and loved on. Now, when it comes to Cindy's mom, she still believes Christina's out there. People think that she's been possibly trafficked, possibly trapped, but also riding the bus. It just doesn't make any sense to me. When you're in a trafficked situation or controlled by somebody else, you're going to do what you need to do if you have that kind of freedom to contact your family, especially if you know you have a baby out there. And especially not too far away from where you lived. It just doesn't make sense to me. So many people are just trying to get attention, including that girl who was in the documentary. I can't remember her name now, saying that she pretended she was somebody else in this psych facility. If that was the case, don't you think she would have been like, you need to tell my parents this is how to get me? I don't know. For me, I just feel like all of these theories are all bullshit just to get attention, just to make it seem like, hey, yeah, I was involved in that and I tried to help. No, you're a liar. And of course, it's just enough of the small town whispering to confuse the timeline of this forever. Another person said that she saw Christina work in the streets in Peoria, and another person claimed that she was taken, drugged, and held up against her will. Now, as of 2024, we hit the 15-year mark of her case. And Detective Jordan Frelling says that this case is still open. No arrests have ever been made, no confirmed sightings. Nobody has ever recovered anything surrounding this. Now, Christina's case is not isolated. There is another young woman in the Midwest who had also vanished under very eerie, similar circumstances. Bars, late night, rumors of trafficking, police involvement in knowledge, and I'm referencing Christina Booker Morris. I believe that particular case and a few others are connected. But we'll talk about that on another day. But for now, we're just going to focus on Christina. Now, there were rumors that Christina was an informant for the police, and I agree with that too. Likely targeting like heroin or small trafficking rings. There was also a rumor suggesting that Christina was technically building a case against Bookie, who is one of the main suspects, primary suspects in this case. And of course, that put her in danger. Sources say that she snitched on somebody, which could be technically the reason why something happened to her. There are just so many theories and so many like missing pieces and so many crazy things that happen. So we're going to get into what I see. So yes, I definitely believe that Christina, without a doubt, was an informant for the police. Yes, it could have had some sort of tie and connection to her paying off her probation stuff, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I'm going to say that Christina was possibly heading for a heavier charge because she was close to Buki. Her family was close to Buki. Like, there's a lot of connections there. And they basically kind of forced her in a sense, like, hey, we need you to bring this down, or we're going to bring you down. And they used their manipulation and power to do that to her. I feel like Christina did not have any interest in doing this. She was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. And they were like, well, then I guess you're going to be going to prison. And she didn't want to go to prison. She didn't want to do any of that. So she reluctantly agreed to doing this. And unfortunately, they took advantage. She was afraid of Buki. And although she had a good relationship with him and there was some sort of relationship, sometimes yes, but also I believe that she worked for him. She did a couple of different things, like trafficking related drug side of things. Her whole family was involved in that. Like, I'd say they all were. So she was only one part of that. She also went as far as hooking for him as well. I believe that he was her genuine pimp too. One of her pimps. They were also trying to come down on a few other names as well that have not been mentioned. And I believe and agree that it's connected to Buki. Now, Buki had a network. He had access, and some of the police, the dirty cops, were also associated with him and the things that he did. As long as he didn't get out of sorts, they would let him do this because they also got a bit of a payout. I believe that she was specifically killed because they found out that she was an informant, which explains why the police were so lazy when it came to this case, because they had their own ties to it. Now, although nothing was technically official, they do have some details suggesting she was an informant, but they didn't have any sort of contract in place. I mean, Buki knows way more than what he's telling anyone. Obviously, he is a main part of this. Pretending he didn't know her, he didn't know of her. Meanwhile, he knew of the entire family. And they still had photos of him in their album. Speaking of Buki, I mean, he has hurt so many people out there. Assaulted women, multiple women, his wife. He stabbed his wife. He had a girlfriend and he dragged her down the street, took her to the bathroom and raped her for talking to authorities. People know that when you talk, it was like a warning. I am going to do this so that you understand that you don't cross me. And thus the reason nobody else steps up against him. Now, I'm going to talk about each piece of this case because there are so many elements, it's unreal. Let's start off with Cindy. Now, Cindy holds on to this version of Christina, which I mean was accurate, but that was only like 5 to 10% of who she was. Her daughter laughing and joking, made sarcastic comments, and she lit up a room. You can see them through the home videos. She tried her best to stay very positive and funny in your face kind of chaos. But what Cindy doesn't like to talk about are all the things beneath the surface. Now, Cindy claims that she did not know that her father was abusing her daughter, but the truth is, Cindy lives a very specific life of denial, one that lets her sleep at night, I guess. I believe that Cindy was also assaulted within her family from her father and a few other people as well. Be the reason why she dug heavily into the drug scene of things. I believe she buried it deep down. I believe that Christina was abused as well, and although Cindy didn't necessarily see it, but I feel like she had moments where, wait a minute, what just happened there? Her daughter constantly sitting on men's laps, even her stepfather, even Christina's stepfather. I really believe that there was so much incestuous things going on, pedophilia, just a lot. Even her brother, I'd say that he was also molested and abused. And I think that Christina and her brother, also molested each other as well. And that could possibly be a big reason why her and her brother got into a heavy argument. Now, the drugs were a huge factor, of course, but I feel like there were bigger, deeper things going on. Perhaps maybe she wanted to share or let things out or finally free herself from all of this, but he was like, hell to the no, we're not saying shit, shut your mouth or I'll shut it for you. Now, Christina didn't become a sex worker because she wanted to. She became a sex worker because, hey, she had already been dealing with this for so long now, she's going to get money for it. She needed payouts, whether it was money or drugs. And her family didn't necessarily know she was prostituting, although I'm thinking Cindy knew some of it because I don't feel like Christina was quiet about these things. She might have kept some things down deep dark inside of her, but she shared a couple of things here and there. Eventually, Christina started giving the cops information reluctantly. Nothing major, just to basically say, here's what I saw to keep things going. They would also give her, in return, like a bump of coke. But the cops are really never really chasing cases either. I think they enjoyed just being able to control some of these informants, including Christina. They were involved in the drugs themselves and they used her and passed her around. Like, I feel like she had one cop that she was dealing with first, and then she was passed around to 3 others, and things started happening like sexual favors for drugs. And then it didn't necessarily become about being an informant, although she did give some information here and there. But the rumor started to speculate. People started to question, hey, I seen Christina hanging out with that cop in that cop car over there. What the fuck? We don't talk to those cops. Buki, because he didn't know at all, was super, super paranoid. Now, this particular evening, she was supposed to be meeting with one of her cops, and I see that he was going to give her a large quantity of drugs. She was going to do something more sexual than she normally would on the roster because he was giving her more. And that was the plan. And I feel like that's what happened fairly quickly, which could have been the reason why she was so intoxicated, because she was trying to prepare herself for that moment. I feel like it did happen a little bit after she had left the bar. Then I believe she got dropped off, and that's why she decided to go to the other bars. Unfortunately, this same night, things just kind of collided together. I see that Buki and a few of his friends came forward and said, "Hey girl, let's go hang out. We'll share something. We'll do this, we'll do that." Like I feel like he was trying to be friendly. Haven't seen you in a while, even though I think he did. I see that she was afraid, but I also see that she wasn't too concerned because of his demeanor. When it comes to Buki and his energy, if he is in a bad mood, you don't want to go anywhere near him. When it comes to him being in a better mood, I see that she was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go hang out with him. What could happen? I believe at that point, that's when I don't feel like she got hit by a vehicle, but I do feel like she got her ass beat. She was told never again to do this, that, and the other. And ultimately, I feel like she was beaten to death. I also feel like they didn't necessarily plan to beat her to death. It just happened that way. I see that his wife knew. I see that he took Christina to his basement. I feel like he put her in a freezer for a while. She was dead. Things were going around. He was getting nervous. His same friends, which I believe 3 of them were there, so 4 in total, maybe even a 5th one that they met up with later on. And I feel like they decided to take her body and dig her up. Now, I do believe that her body was more closer to the water side, is kind of the vibe I'm picking up on. At first, I felt something different. I also kept seeing Christina getting hit, but I feel like when she was grabbed into the vehicle at some point too, maybe after a little bit of a beating. Initially, I had seen that she was grabbed, but I feel like that was after the fact. I feel like she was trying to get away from them. Seeing that they were in some dark alley fairly close to the bar, the sports bar. They stole all her drugs. They made sure to leave her phone and her keys. They did that on purpose so that it couldn't get traced back to where they put her body. I'm also feeling like the guy who found the phone also seen something, maybe even informed, hey, you take this phone to the cops, you hear? And I feel like he was like, yes, I will. I also feel like this female detective lieutenant also knew about what was going on in background. I feel like she started digging, and when she found things out, she backtracked because they would have made her life a living hell. The other thing I am seeing that is so crazy and wild in the documentary, Darren, he was an FBI agent, former one, and was helping Christina doing this, not Whittaker, but Christina who had the documentary. He was helping her, and I see that he was informed, hey, we got some shit on you. If you don't stop searching, we're going to expose you. And I think that's why he committed suicide. I really do. Now, here's the interesting part. Bookie has a lot of dirt on these cops, and that's why they're not pressing the Bookie situation as indefinite as they have in the past, because he could out them. So they're afraid of that. So that's why they are not moving forward with getting this on Bookie, but they know he did it. They were aware of it. I'd say even before the 24 hours of her being missing, the police report, I feel like they knew stuff was up. I think they got a phone call about it and were warned to make sure that things did not go according to plan because of his involvement. This case is a system, a network of corruption, silence, power, and pain. Everyone's connected. The family, the cops, the street dealers, the users, the buyers, her brother, the officers, like just everyone is involved. And they didn't just let her disappear. They made sure she would never come back because they don't want the truth out there. But anyways, guys, that is my feels on this case. If you guys have any other questions, please drop them in the comment section and we'll cover it because I want to get to the bottom of this. I do believe that they will find out more information once this generation dies off. I see like a full new fresh detective energy coming into this and solving it very quickly, and also outing the cops involved in it too. So there will be something that happens. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, though. I'd say we still have 5 years left. But, anyways, guys, next week we will be covering our first spooky season episode, which I'm so excited about. We'll be covering Annabelle in depth. As you know, if you've been watching my videos on TikTok, I talk a lot about her, and I cannot wait to get started. I love everything Annabelle related. Until next time, guys, stay freaked out.